What we're talking about here is a lot more of an holistic approach to the management of the farm as a whole.
Welcome along to episode 6 of the Heartland Strong podcast, a podcast based on the book Heartland Strong, How Rural New Zealand Can Change and Thrive. Today we're joined by Estelle Domaniti and Garry Watson. Estelle is a senior scientist at AgResearch in the Farm Systems team, and Garry is the chairman of the Ngā Uri or Te Ngahere Trust. So welcome along to you both. It's great to have you here. And I'm going to start with you, Garry. Can you tell us a little bit about Mātauranga Māori? What is it? Give us a bit of an overview, please.
Hi, kia ora. Mātauranga Māori, relative to what we're discussing here today, is about knowledge systems. It's not simply about traditional knowledge. The work that I've been doing with Estelle and with AgResearch and other CRIs is to get senior scientists to understand that by implementing the traditional knowledge systems and looking at how we can merge them into Western science, we can get a new understanding. We can get a new way of addressing some of the science challenges we face here in Aotearoa. And as we train these senior scientists, we find that we're creating a more intuitive base for the work that they're doing. So essentially it's a way of bringing together Te Ao Māori worldview, and Western science methodologies and practice. And Estelle and I are leading the way in that space at present.
Cool. So tell us how connectivity between all those knowledge systems helps us to understand and put all of those systems into place.
So the connection there is, if you look at the function of mana tiaki, not tautiaki-tanga as it tends to be termed these days, we are upholding the principles and the mana, or the integrity of guardianship. We as tangata whenua have a whakapapa role, we have a whakapapa link through tāne to all living things, be it an insect, a bird, anything within the natural living world. And there's a range of what Western science terms ecosystems services that are provided to us through the engagement that we have with all of those so-called resources. But within Te Ao Māori, there's a far deeper and a far greater connection. It's a spiritual connection. So the work that I'm doing with Estelle at the moment is looking at where are the natural common links between those elements. But more importantly, what are the different metrics? What are the things that Western science don't understand? And how do we measure those? And we've come up with a really interesting framework, which is called SECE. And it looks at developing 4 values, the 4 capital bases. That's social, environmental, cultural, and ecological. And the work that we're doing is developing new metrics where each of those can be measured and each of those can be balanced, and we're achieving well-being within the farming community and well-being in general through the application of that metrics and that process.
Thank you, Garry. So I wanted to get you, Estelle, to jump in here and tell us more about the ecosystem services from your point of view as a farm system scientist.
Okay, thanks, Garry. So we've been working on what's called, from the Western science point of view, ecosystem-based management, which is where the concept of ecosystem services and natural capital comes from. And there's basically 2 principles at the base of those that ecosystem-based management. The first one is the preservation and enhancement of natural resources, because all economic activity that natural resources based like farming, really the resilience of that activity is based on the health of ecosystems. So the first principle of ecosystem-based management is really the enhancement of natural resources. The second principle is really what Garry was talking about, realizing the connectivity between different systems and also making sure whatever activity is taking place, it's being done within what we call environmental boundaries of that system. And so we've been using concepts like ecosystem services, which is defined as all the benefits that people gain from ecosystems and natural systems. And so while working with this concept of ecosystem-based management with Maori landowners, we've noticed real similarities between Mātauranga Maori and the principles behind it and what those Maori landowners do with their land, and the ecosystem-based approach, which is more of a Western science concept. And so therefore that's where that collaboration came from, really trying to understand how we can better use Mātauranga Maori principles and align what we're trying to do with ecosystem-based management and the concept of ecosystem services to what we're both trying to do, which is increase the sustainability of farming practices.
Cool. So, Estelle, could you tell us how you could use this concept in everyday farm management, for example, with farm plans?
So, there's a long history in New Zealand of using farm plans for managing everyday activity on the farm, especially when it comes to environmental management of the farm. There's a range of farm plans across different regions in New Zealand that address a range of issues. Usually they're mono focused. So there's farm plans for erosion, you can find nutrient plans. What we're talking about here is a lot more of a holistic approach to the management of the farm as a whole, and looking at all the environmental resources that are on the farm. And again, like what Garry talked about, we're talking about the land, the water, the biodiversity, the people as well, which are a very big component of it. And really trying to see how everything's connected and how any activity that's taken on farm has an impact on all the different components. So farm plans are just a way to, I suppose, get a clear picture of things, get a stock take of things, and then get farmers to think about those links and that connectivity, and really get farmers to think about the consequences of everything that happens on the farm. They're already doing that in their everyday job. That's what they're doing. They have multiple hats on all the time. But, for example, if they try to address an erosion issue, by doing something against that, their action will have consequences on not only the soil but also the biodiversity and the water. And it's trying to get a real multi-benefit approach to whatever is being done on farm. And what we've been working on with Garry is really trying to harness all the knowledge that Maori landowners or Pākehā landowners have on the farm, of the knowledge of the environment, and trying to see if we can basically build on that and enhance that, and trying to help the environment help the farm, if you see what I mean.
Cool. Garry, can I get you to jump in here and tell us about the particular needs and challenges for Maori landholders from what Estelle is talking to us about?
Just if firstly, just to pick up on what Estelle was saying, this is about harmonisation. It's creating a harmony between two knowledge systems. And the easiest way to do that with non-Māori, with the Pākehā farmers, is to try to get them to understand that the farm or the catchment, the ecosystem that they're working in, is one single integrated, living, symbiotic organism. And as soon as you can get that breakthrough, they can understand that not only is it about, for instance, identifying which plants you might grow for erosion control in a riparian planting area or in an underutilised hill country area, it's to get them to also realise that there are bioactive compounds in those plants that can be used for animal health. So the whole system works in unity. And it's quite difficult to do that when farm plans are driven by, profit motive, GDP, mortgage to the bank, etc. So we've been lucky enough to find some champions within the non-Māori community who get it. We're further developing that. You have to be able to exemplify that as living examples. It can't be theoretical. You have to see the change in the people and see the change in the land and the change that the land creates in the people. Once you get that dynamic running, then you fine-tune it. And the application of advanced agriculture science systems is really just adding value and enhancing that. It's adding value to what we already know.
Yeah.
So, the big breakthrough for us, or that we try to achieve, is to get non-Māori farmers to realise that this is about Mother Earth. This is about total well-being and everything that you need in terms of your spirituality, your psychological requirements, all of the four po that hold the health of mankind and the health of well-being there, and all there within that ecosystem. You just need to respect them, and you need to work it in concert. So we have had some interesting wins along that way. So sorry, what was your question?
That's brilliant, Garry. I was asking if there were any particular needs or challenges for Māori landowners, but what you've just told us about is really practical for all landowners. But is there anything specific for Māori?
Yeah, I think the challenges that we've faced in terms of Western science, first and foremost, the challenges that we've faced is Western science process or methodology tends to look at something in its entirety, reach into that, pull something out, tear it apart and inspect it to the minutest level, and then look to put it back in. And Māori view it in a completely different manner. We look at everything holistically. So the first challenge that we've faced has been that. The second challenge that we've faced is that there's this inherent misguided belief within Western science that it is dominant in terms of Māori science systems, Māori knowledge systems. So, for instance, when you talk to scientists about the maramataka and you explain that what you're talking about is the Māori calendar, they think you're talking about the Bill Horepa fishing calendar. They don't understand that you're actually talking about an incredibly intricate and fully integrated management system. So the only way that we can break through with that and address that challenge is to get scientists to start to understand what is ethno-ecology, ethno-biology, what is ethno-astrology. And those are the three things that we specialise in within Ngā Uri or the Ngahere Trust. Until you can contextualise it within their value system and within their very sometimes myopic view, you're going to continually be challenged by that. The beauty is, in terms of breakthroughs, the beauty of this is that we've been able to work with people like Estelle. She comes from a cultural background and from an island where all of those integrated processes are fully understood. And we've also been able to work with people in the farm systems management team. And because we're connected to the land, we've crossed the first hurdle. And I think it's been really, really interesting to note the rapid transfer of knowledge and understanding and respect that sits within the farm management systems, as opposed to trying to work with people in proteomic research. It's really quite a distinct difference.
Absolutely. I think that's always been the farm system's strength, as in seeing things in that holistic approach, which is really awesome. So Estelle, any last things you wanted to tell us? First thing is that we're just beginning our journey, I guess. We're learning as we go, and we're learning a lot from the landowners we're working with, both Maori and non-Maori. And like Gary said, once you create the first contact with people and show them, what they can get from the land, it's a lot easier to make progress. Farmers are really open and really receptive to the concept. They used to work with farm plans. They used to work with nature. They know a lot more than they even think they do. And once you start putting things in their terms and showing them that, what they've been doing is the first step in the right direction, and they just kind of need to tweak a little bit what they're doing and maybe have a little bit of a more broader view on everything that happens on the farm, they're really receptive and they really enjoy it as well. And it is about linking people with the land and with the landscape. So it's been really a really interesting journey, and like I said, it's ongoing, and we've got a lot of great people that are willing to help. So it's really good. Well, thank you so much, Garry and Estelle. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening to this episode 6 of the Heartland Strong podcast on this integrated approach with Mātauranga Māori. And hopefully it's whet your appetite. It's given you a little bit of an insight into what's in the book Heartland Strong. You can get a hold of the copy of the book if you're interested in more detail and more information. Otherwise, there's a whole lot of these podcasts that you can get a little snapshot of what's in the Heartland Strong book. So thanks for joining us today.